Welcome into Path to the Playoffs. Casey Phillips here with senior writer and editor Scott Smith. We're doing one of our favorite segments. This means it's December. The Bucs are in the playoff push. So we're going to talk about all the scenarios that it will take to get them there. So let's start with kind of the big picture idea. NFC South, NFC overall, the whole NFC picture. What are we going to look at
Well,
here?
San Francisco remained in control. They won again pretty easily against Arizona. And it looked for a while like we were going to have a flip in the number 2 spot when Dallas lost. And they were briefly in that spot as the leaders of the NFC. They were out of it, and Philly was in it. And then Philadelphia, that surprise loss to Seattle last second on Monday night. So it flipped back, and Dallas is still in the lead now. Philly, they're tied, and Philly has a much easier last 3 games than Dallas. So we'll see what happens. But then Detroit, they seem to be riding the ship a little bit. They're back. They're still in 3rd place, and the Bucs remain in 4th with their win in Green Bay. And then you see Philadelphia, Minnesota, and the Rams are in control of the 3 wildcard spots now. It'll probably be either Philly or Dallas. Seattle, with that win, is also real close, and you got a couple of 6 and 8 teams. So it's a really jumbled mess from the 5 seed on down.
Yeah, and so basically it hasn't changed since last week in that if it ended today, Bucs would be in, and who would they be playing in that first round?
Well, they would be the 4th seed because they'd have the worst record of the 4 division winners at the moment, at least, and they would play the 5 seed at home in the first round of the playoffs. And right now, that would be Philadelphia. The Buccaneers are in that 4th seed, even though they're tied with the Saints because they have the head-to-head victory from Week 4. However, those 2 teams will play each other again in Week 17, the Bucs and the Saints. And basically, both teams can say right now that they control their own destiny. Since Atlanta lost to Carolina and fell to 6 and 8, both the Bucs and the Saints know that if they went out, they both can't. They can't both.
Right.
But one of them could, and both of them know if they went out, they would win the division. So, the Bucs already beat the Saints, and they get them at home. So you would like to think they have the upper hand, but you never know what's going to happen in any given game. But after that 3-game winning streak, the Buccaneers have really gone from the fringes of the division race and the playoff race to in control. They still have to take care of business, but they're in control. And also, if they were not, didn't have that tiebreaker and were not considered the NFC East or NFC South leaders, they would still have at 7-7, and with certain tiebreakers, they would have a wild card spot. So a few weeks ago, it didn't look like wild card was going to be even in the picture. Obviously, we want to win the division, but the wild card spot is very much in play for the Buccaneers now.
So looking at the especially division title part, we talked about the fact they went out, they've got it, so that's sealed up. If they were not to win out, kind of what are the implications of these last 3 games? Which are the ones that matter the most, the least, and what kind of scenarios are there that would lead to either winning the division or a wild card spot?
You can't say any of these last 3 games are anything but critical because who knows how many wins it's going to take if you end up in the wild card race. You might need 10, or you might need 9 but have a better tiebreaker. But if you were ranking them in terms of importance, this isn't how the team is looking at it. Don't get me wrong. If you're ranking them in terms of importance, this game coming up against the Jaguars is the least important because it's an AFC opponent, and it really won't have a lot of effect on any tiebreakers that we're worried about. So it's very, very, very important.
Yes.
But if you were told that the Buccaneers are going to win 2 of their next 3, the one you would least need is the Jacksonville one.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us on this edition of Path to the Playoffs. We'll be back here next week breaking down everything that happens in this upcoming weekend slate of games to know how that impacts the Bucs and their chances. We'll see you then.